Today's story is a soft and emotional journey about a young girl who falls quietly in love with her teacher. It's a story of unspoken feelings, growing up, and learning when to let go. We hope you listen with an open heart. My name is Sophia. I was 16 years old when this story started. I lived in a small town near New York City called Maplewood Hills. It was a quiet town with green hills, small shops, and one big school where all the students went. That year, I began grade 10. We had a new literature teacher. His name was Mr. Daniels. He was only 25, but he looked older. He had dark blonde hair, wore glasses, and always carried a brown leather bag. His clothes were simple. He wore a white shirt and sometimes a dark blue sweater. He looked calm and kind. His eyes were green, and when he smiled, they looked warm like sunshine. All the girls in class noticed him on the first day. Some whispered and laughed during the lesson. They asked silly questions to get his attention. One girl even dropped her pen 3 times so he would look at her. But Mr. Daniels was always polite. He didn't get angry, but he didn't act differently either. He focused only on teaching. I liked Mr. Daniels too. I liked him a lot. But I never joked with him or tried to talk to him like the other girls. I wasn't brave like them. I was quiet and always sat in the second row near the window. I listened carefully whenever he read something. His voice made me feel calm. I loved reading. And Mr. Daniels made every story feel special. He was a good teacher. He didn't just ask us to read. He explained the meaning of the words. He told us why the writer wrote something in a certain way and why a poem felt happy or sad. He asked us to write what we felt after reading. I loved that. I always tried my best, hoping he would notice. And he did. Sometimes after class, he gave me back my paper and said, "Good work, Sophia." Those words made me feel happy inside. Sometimes he smiled at me in the hallway. My face turned warm when he did. I never missed his class. Even when I felt sick, I still came to school. I wanted him to see me as a good student. I wore my best clothes on days we had his class. I brushed my hair neatly and wore a small silver ring my grandmother gave me. I didn't try to look pretty like the other girls. I just wanted to feel good and hoped he would see that I was different. Mr. Daniels always acted the same. He was friendly, but not too close. He helped all students in the same way. Still, when he asked me questions in class, my hands shook and my heart beat fast. But I answered, even when I was scared. And when he said well done, I smiled for the rest of the day. At home, I thought about him a lot. I wondered what he did after school. Did he have a cat or a dog? Did he listen to music or read books at night like I did? I didn't know, but I wanted to know. One day, I saw him at the grocery store. He had a basket with fruit and bread. He smiled at me and said, "Hello, Sophia. Doing some shopping?" I said, "Yes," and smiled. My hands were cold, but I felt happy the whole day. A week later, I saw him again in town. He was coming out of a small bookstore with a man who looked like his friend. They were laughing. When Mr. Daniels saw me, he waved and said hello. I waved back. I watched him walk away and felt a strange feeling inside. I didn't like seeing him with someone else. The school year went on. The leaves turned brown and the wind became cold. We had a school festival. Mr. Daniels helped at the bookstore. I went there and bought a small storybook. He looked at the cover and said, "Good choice." I smiled and felt like I was flying, but I still didn't know how to talk to him like the other girls. I only said thank you and walked away. Later, I thought of many things I could have said, but it was too late. I kept writing good essays and finishing my homework on time. Mr. Daniels gave me high grades in literature. He often wrote very thoughtful or well done on my papers. I kept them in a box under my bed and read them again and again. Winter came. It snowed in Maplewood Hills, and school closed for a few days. I stayed home reading and thinking about Mr. Daniels. I even dreamed about him. In the dream, we walked in the snow and talked about books and poems. When school opened again, he was still the same, calm, focused, and kind. And I was still the same, quiet, shy, and full of secret feelings. I never told anyone, not even my best friend. I knew others might laugh or say it was silly, but it didn't feel silly to me. Then one day, something changed. It was the last day before spring break. After class, Mr. Daniels told us some news. He was leaving our school. He got a new teaching job at a university in another city. The room went silent. Some girls looked very sad. One girl even cried. I felt frozen. I couldn't move. I just looked at him. He smiled and said he enjoyed teaching us and wished us good luck. When class ended, I walked out slowly. I didn't want to leave. I went to the garden behind the school and sat on a bench. The trees had no leaves yet, and the ground was still wet. I looked at the sky and felt like I had lost something important. That evening, I walked around my neighborhood. I didn't know why, but I just kept walking until I reached a quiet street. I looked around and saw a small, white house with a garden. I had passed by before, but now I knew it was his house. I stood across the street and looked at the window. The light was on. I saw a shadow move inside. Maybe it was him. I didn't stay long. I turned around and walked back home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the classes, the stories we read, the times he smiled at me, and how he was leaving. My chest hurt. I didn't know if I would ever see him again. I didn't say goodbye. I couldn't. It felt too hard. Before I continue my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? It gives me comfort to know someone is hearing my words. Someone who understands. Please tell me in the comments. I'd really love to know. After Mr. Daniels left Maplewood Hills High School, everything felt different. I still went to school every day, but I wasn't excited anymore. Literature class didn't feel the same. The new teacher was fine, but I didn't feel anything special. I missed Mr. Daniels, his voice, his smile, and the way he explained stories. For many weeks, I thought about him. Sometimes I passed by his old house, but the lights were always off. A new family lived there now. It felt strange to see other people in that place. The memories started to fade. Time moved on. Summer came, and school ended. I began preparing for university entrance exams. I wanted to study English literature. I spent most of my time reading, writing essays, and practicing grammar. My parents supported me. They said I had a good chance to get into a university in the city. I also joined a private English class in town. It was for students preparing for entrance exams. I opened my notebook and looked around. A few other students were already there. Then the door opened and the teacher walked in. My heart almost stopped. It was Mr. Daniels. He looked surprised too when he saw me. Then he smiled and said, "Welcome, everyone. I'm Mr. Daniels, and I'll be your teacher for the next 6 months." I couldn't believe it. He was really there, just a few feet away. He looked a little different. His hair was shorter and he wore a dark jacket. But his green eyes were still the same. My hands felt cold again, just like before. After class, he came up to me. "Sophia," he said, "it's good to see you again. You've grown." I smiled. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I moved back last month," he said. "I missed teaching high school students, so I decided to return." We didn't say much more, but that short conversation made me feel warm inside. The next few weeks went by fast. I worked very hard in his class. I answered questions, finished every assignment, and stayed after class to ask about the harder topics. Sometimes we talked a little after the lessons. He asked about my plans. I told him I wanted to study literature. He said that was a good choice. One evening, it started to rain right as class ended. I didn't bring an umbrella. I stood near the door, looking at the heavy rain. "Do you want me to walk you home?" Mr. Daniels asked. He held a big black umbrella. "Are you sure?" I said. "Of course," he replied. We walked slowly in the rain. The streets were quiet. The only sound was the soft tapping of the rain on the umbrella. "Do you still read a lot?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "Even more than before." We talked about books, school, and the future. It was the best walk I'd had in a long time. After that evening, he walked me home more often. Sometimes we stopped at the park. We sat on a bench and talked about stories and music. He told me about his new job. I told him about my dreams. We laughed. It didn't feel like teacher and student anymore. It felt like two people who understood each other. One Saturday, he asked if I wanted to go to the cinema. "It's an old movie, but I think you'll enjoy it," he said. I said yes. That evening, I wore a nice dress and a small necklace. We met outside the theatre. He looked happy to see me. We watched the film, then walked to a small cafe. It was raining again, and the cafe lights looked golden through the window. That night, he kissed me for the first time. It was soft and gentle. I felt like I was dreaming. After that, we spent more time together. We kept it a secret. Only I knew. I didn't tell my parents or friends. I didn't want anyone to judge us. I didn't want to lose him again. Sometimes I asked myself if it was real. I was still a student, and he was older. But when we talked, it didn't feel wrong. We talked for hours and never got tired. We liked the same books and the same kind of music. I felt safe with him. I felt like he saw me. The months went by fast. My exams were getting close, and I studied harder than before. Mr. Daniels helped me with practice questions. He gave me advice and told me to believe in myself. "You're a smart girl, Sophia. You can do this," he said once. I remembered those words all the time. Then one day, everything changed. It was a warm afternoon. We were sitting on a bench in the park. He looked serious. I knew something was wrong. "I need to tell you something," he said. "I got a job offer." I looked at him. "Where?" I asked. "In the United States. A school in Boston wants me to teach literature. It's a big opportunity." I didn't say anything. I just looked at the trees. "I haven't said yes yet," he added, "but it's a good chance for me." I felt my heart break slowly. I tried to smile, but I couldn't. "I understand," I said quietly. He held my hand. "I care about you, Sophia. You're very special to me. But this is important for my future." I nodded slowly. I didn't want to stop him. I wanted him to grow, but I also didn't want to lose him again. We promised to stay in touch. He said he would write. I said I would reply. The next few weeks were hard. We met a few more times. We talked, walked, and said goodbye again and again. On his last day, We met one final time. He gave me a book of poems with my name written inside. "Never stop writing," he said. I smiled and hugged him. Then he left. Just like that, after Mr. Daniels left for Boston, I felt empty for a while. I still went to my English classes and studied for the university exams, but something inside me had changed. My heart felt quiet, like a song that had stopped playing. At first, we sent letters to each other. He wrote about his new job, the school, and the city. I wrote about my exam preparation and the books I was reading. Every week, I waited for his letter. I checked the mailbox every day, hoping to see his handwriting on an envelope. For the first few months, the letters came regularly, but then they started to come late. Sometimes 2 weeks passed, sometimes 3. Then one day, no letter came at all. I waited. I wrote to him again, but he didn't reply for a long time. When his next letter came, it was shorter. He said he was busy. That work took all his time. He hoped I was doing well. I read the letter many times, but something felt different. His words didn't feel the same. They felt cold, like a stranger was writing. I didn't reply right away. I waited. Then I stopped writing. I passed my exams and got into a university in New York City. It was a big moment for me. My parents were proud. My friends were excited. But inside, I felt quiet. I kept the memory of Mr. Daniels like a closed book inside my heart. I didn't tell anyone. University life was busy. I met new people, made friends, and studied hard. Slowly, the days passed. Mr. Daniels became a memory. I still kept the book of poems he gave me. I didn't open it often, but I kept it safe on my shelf. Years passed. One evening during my last year of university, I was sitting in the library. I was tired of studying, so I opened my laptop and went to a social media site. I typed his name, James Daniels, into the search bar, and there he was. His profile picture showed him standing in front of a school building. His hair was shorter, and he had a beard. He looked older, maybe a little tired. But it was him. I didn't know what to do. I sat there for a few minutes just looking at the screen. Then I typed a short message. "Hello, Mr. Daniels. This is Sophia from Maplewood Hills. I hope you remember me." I sent it. The next day, I got a reply. "Of course I remember you, Sophia. It's nice to hear from you. How have you been?" We talked a little online. We shared what we were doing, where we were living, and how life had changed. After a few days, he asked if I wanted to meet. He was visiting New York for a conference. I said yes. We planned to meet at a small cafe near the park. I arrived early. I wore a simple dress and tied my hair back. I didn't know what to expect. I looked out the window and waited. Then I saw him. He walked in slowly, wearing a dark coat. His face looked older. He had small lines near his eyes and had gained some weight. His green eyes were not as bright as I remembered. "Hi, Sophia," he said with a smile. "Hi," I said. We sat down and ordered coffee. We talked about school, work, and the years in between. He told me about his job in Boston. I told him about university and my plans to become a writer. But something was missing. I didn't feel the same. He was still kind, still calm and polite. But the feeling I once had was gone. The person I had loved at 16 didn't live in this man anymore. Or maybe I wasn't the same girl. After 2 hours, we said goodbye. He said, "It was really nice to see you." I smiled. "It was nice to see you too." That evening, I walked back to my apartment. I felt a mix of feelings, peace, sadness, and a little joy. I thought about everything we had shared. It was real. But it was over. A few days later, he sent me a message. It was nice meeting you. I hope we can stay friends. I replied, Thank you, Mr. Daniels. The first wish you all the best. We talked a little more after that, but deep inside, I knew it was time to let go. 1 week later, I was walking in the park near my apartment. It started to rain. I stood under a tree and watched the drops fall. Everything looked soft and quiet. I remembered the time he walked me home in the rain. I remembered his voice, his soft smile, and the way I used to feel. And I smiled. I thought, life is like rain. Sometimes it feels cold and sad, but it also helps flowers grow. It gives the earth something new. It washes away the old and brings a fresh start. I still think about Mr. Daniels sometimes. But now when I remember him, I don't feel hurt. I feel peaceful. He was part of my life story, but he was not the whole story. Now I am writing new chapters. I have a job that I enjoy. I teach children how to read and write. I help them find the beauty in words, just like he once helped me. And maybe one day, someone in my class will feel inspired too. Maybe I will be someone's favorite teacher, like he was mine. Because life keeps going. People grow. Feelings change. But memories stay with us. They teach us. They help shape who we are. And sometimes, the most beautiful stories are the ones that stay in our hearts, even if they don't last forever. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone who might relate. And if you have ever held a quiet love in your heart, tell us about it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. More inspiring and emotional stories are coming soon. Stay with us.